Online Pro is back with Mock Draft 4.0, and it had been a while since I'd covered what I think my picks are going to be for the 2025 NFL Draft, but I realized that I was doing it once a week, and I will go back to doing that format once we're a little bit close to the NFL Draft, as we're in March. The draft's obviously in April, but I wanted to give an updated look at it. I've done some more research on it, and yeah, we're just going to go through the first round and look into it. A disclaimer: my webcam at the moment is having issues, so we're just not going to do the face webcam in this one. Let me know in the comments as well if you prefer it with or without the face cam. It's up to what you guys preference at this point. But we're going to get right started into this, and first you have Tennessee. Let me get this started. And I've actually been hearing a lot of buzz that the Titans are actually looking to shop this pick with the Giants. I've heard the Giants, and it was weird because with the Giants, it seemed as if they had wanted Shedeur Sanders for a long time, and now all of a sudden it looks like they're trying to maybe get into the Cam Ward business. And I've heard examples of the question that then arises at this point is, what is the compensation going to look like? And I think it could be a variety of things. There's nothing that I would just set in stone say it's going to be, but it's going to be probably the swap of these picks, and I would assume at least a second. Now, there's a world where there's a pick next year that needs to be done, but we're going to take Cam Ward here with this first overall pick. Personally, the more that I look into Cam Ward, the less of a first overall pick prospect I think he is. I think he can succeed, but I see a little too much playmaker out of the pocket quarterback type than throw a ball in the pocket. And the quarterbacks that I like and the quarterbacks that seem to really succeed in this league are ones that can perform in the pocket early, unless you're like a freak or a superstar athlete like a Lamar Jackson, like a Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels can throw in the pocket well. In that first year he did. But yeah, the Giants, Cam Ward first. The Browns, I really don't know what to make of what they're going to do. I think Abdul Carter would be a solid pick because assumingly that they lose Myles Garrett. And Myles Garrett's voiced he's wanted to leave. But the more that I look into this, I just don't think that at this moment they want to get rid of him. Why would you? Obviously, he's a generational player. But assuming that they haven't gotten rid of him yet and they're holding on to the hope, I really don't know what they're going to do with this pick at this point. So I'm going to have them taking Abdul Carter, but I think there's a lot of different possibilities with the Browns. I think trading this pick is obviously a possibility. I think Travis Hunter's a possibility. I even think Shedeur Sanders is still a possibility. Then you go back, you have Tennessee, and this is a position where they would draft Travis Hunter. I think the big trump, if you're Cleveland or Tennessee in this draft, is if you're going to trade that pick, try to go to 3 or 4, get into a position where you can get Travis Hunter. In my opinion, there are 2 generational players in this draft, or potential to be generational players in this draft, and those players are Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. Those are the only generational talents that are nearly guarantees to hit. Just those 2 guys. Then you go to New England. I've been hearing a lot of Will Campbell talk. Makes sense. If you want to protect a guy like Drake May, who could be your quarterback for time and time to come, then you're going to want to protect that quarterback, and you got to really focus and hone in on the O-line. So that's a good pick for them. Then you have Jacksonville, and I could see Mason Graham going here. I think interior defensive-wise is just a stud. Has played really well in that game against Ohio State, and has just been a player that's been so impactful to what Michigan has done in the past couple of years. And I think that he's a guy that could be a multiple-time All-Pro, and I think it's a good pick for Jacksonville. They got to improve the defense. They have a lot of problems, but I think if you're looking at needs, that's where I would go with there. Then you go to Vegas, and if Shedeur Sanders falls into the lap of the Raiders, I don't know. They could really start blowing some steam up at this point if they're able to do that. Shedeur Sanders is a quarterback that is falling a lot because of who his father is. And, the tape that I've seen so far, the guy can throw in the pocket well. He played for a team like Colorado. If you look at these good quarterbacks in the NFL, minus a guy like Joe Burrow, they usually have had to struggle through something, and they don't throw to 5-star first-round receivers all the time. And that's something that Shedeur Sanders, you could say he had Travis Hunter, but he didn't have much talent at all outside of Travis Hunter on that Colorado team, and they still had a tremendous year, had to play tough competition. I think if you put him with Brock Bowers and maybe they get one more receiver, I think this is a dangerous pick right here, and that's why I'm going to go with him at 6. Then you go to the Jets, and I've been liking more and more this Tyler Warren pick to the Jets. And, some people might say that it might be a little bit of a reach to get a guy like that this early. But look what Brock Bowers did. Look, Brock Bowers is the reason that Tyler Warren is going to get drafted higher, and I think it's valid. These tight ends that have the ability and the range where you can kind of just put them anywhere, they are integral to getting first downs. They are integral to getting yards. And the Jets, if they can strengthen their offense just a little bit more, I think it's a great pick for the Jets at 7. Then you go to Carolina, and T-Mac, the wide receiver, been hearing big things about him. And in my opinion, if we're talking about guys that could have the highest impact out of this draft, T-Mac has to be up there on this list. He's a receiver that, if you just go watch his highlight tapes, he makes incredible plays. And if you're looking at it, if they want Bryce Young to succeed in Carolina, you got to give him an opportunity. And T-Mac is going to give him an opportunity. And they have the guy that they drafted last year, Luke Everett. And I think that this is the right pick for Carolina. Moving on to the Saints, I think there's a lot of things you could do. But if Will Johnson's still sitting here and nobody's taking him, they got to take him. You got rid of Marshawn Lattimore last year, replace that, and now you have Will Johnson, a guy that has been an incredible talent, one of the most talented in this draft as well. I like him going here. Chicago, it's clear that they want to build the O-line. It's clear that when Ben Johnson went in there and got that job, the focus is O-line. And Kelvin Banks just continue to grow. They got Joe Thuney a few days ago from a trade with the Chiefs. Joe Thuney, one of the better O-linemen in the NFL right now, and you just want to continue to build it. Because Caleb Williams, if Caleb Williams is going to play the style that he plays, he needs an awesome O-line, and they just need to continue to build it. They go to the 49ers here, and if Mikael Williams is still sitting here, I think this is a great pick. You put another guy on the other side of Joey Bosa at this point. They need depth and they need to get younger, and this is what they would do here. So with Dallas, a lot of people are saying Ashton Jeanty to the Cowboys here, and I think they're going to do it. I think there's a lot of other picks here a lot of other guys that I would draft before him. You have to realize if you're the Cowboys and you're thinking about this pick, I understand that he's a good running back. Really good running back, really solid. Moments he looked like Barry said. I understand that. But you also have to understand this is the deepest running back draft maybe in the history of the NFL. It's a very deep running back draft class. Like Travion Henderson, you just have all kinds of guys that are out there at the running back position. All kinds of guys. Like, let's actually take a second. Let's look at this here. like the kid from North Carolina, he has incredible tape. Caleb Johnson, this guy could be a big time starter. Judkins, he was just running over people in the games against Texas and the games against Notre Dame. You look at this, and then you go to Ollie Gordon all the way down here. Just a bunch of guys. It's the deepest. Donovan Edwards. I mean, this is the deepest running back draft class that I've ever seen before. Why would you pick one in the first round? It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'll do it. I'll do it for them because they're organized. Not to rip the Cowboys fan or the ownership or whatever it is. This is just a team that's been dysfunctional this past little bit. I think Jerry Jones is kind of reaching his limit at this point, and it goes to show. I did a statistic. I saw stats of every NFC team has made the NFC Championship game by at least 2010. Like their latest appearance was at least 2010, except for the Dallas Cowboys in 1995. So that means that over the past, 30 years, they've been the worst franchise in the NFC. Let that sit with you. Miami next, though, and I think Miami is going to go with an offensive tackle at this point. And I just think that they need to continue to build around protecting Tua at this point. I would like their defense to improve, but as we have continued to see, the O-line is the most important position for a quarterback that's kind of on the fence and not really at. Tua is a good quarterback that can get them places, but if they want to contend, you got to improve the O-line. Going to the Colts, and I think there's a lot of different ways you could go here, and you look at their needs. I think Malachi Stark's the right pick. They need help in that secondary. This is a guy that's been integral for Georgia. He's been really good. So I like them taking him here. Then you go to Atlanta. A lot of different positions you could go here. But I like somebody on the opposite side. Judon, Jalen Walker still sitting here. A lot of value. And I like them taking him here. Next with Arizona, we're going to go with James Pierce Jr. I think this is an incredible edge that Tennessee had. And the only reason that his draft stock isn't higher is because the lack thereof of what he did against Ohio State in that route. This is a guy that I'm surprised that he doesn't get top 10 buzz. So Arizona, this would be a slam dunk of a pick at 16. Then you go to Cincinnati. Just got the news. They're going to be trading Hendrickson. So you want to improve that edge if you're them as well. I actually think they go interior. And I think Walter Nolan is the guy. I just think he makes more sense to help out what they're doing. Obviously, Hubbard is another guy that is retiring. So I think out of these guys, Walter Nolan is the right pick. Then you go to Seattle, and I just would assume defensive head coach, defensive minded guy. I think they continue to improve the defense, get another edge. Stewart was pretty good at Texas A&M. I don't know how much his game is, how good he is going to be in the NFL. I don't know how big the superstar potential is, but I like this pick here. Then you go to Tampa, and there's a lot of different things. I've really been thinking receiver for Tampa at this point. I feel like there's a shot that they could see that Mike Evans is aging, that other people are, that Godwin is aging and injury prone, but I do think they'll go defense, and I think we'll see yet another edge. The Mike Green player out of Marshall has been too good, and he really could be the wild card of this draft. And I think if he's sitting there in this theoretical, then I think they would have to take him. Next, you go to Denver. I could just see them taking a tight end here. Loveland makes sense. It makes sense for them to go tight end at this spot. Sean Payton kind of improve that offense. Bo Nix gets a good tight end. I like them to take Loveland at pick 20 here. Pittsburgh, a lot of mocks have Emeka Egbuka. I think Emeka Egbuka within the realm of the Ohio State receiving tree draws the most similarities to Terry McLaurin, where kind of went under the radar a little bit in college, but really exemplified the position. And if you look at his character, Emeka Egbuka's character is great. You don't have to worry about him being a locker room issue. I think he's going to be an incredible receiver. I think there's moments where he will be considered in the top 10. This is a remarkable wide receiver. He's very quick. I think the only reason he's getting drafted here is because he was outshined the previous 2 years, where anywhere else in the country is a pure number one, putting up ridiculous yards. He was outshined by Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jeremiah Smith, potentially two of the best receivers to ever play college football. So you look at that, and he was still able to have really good production. He leads Ohio State in a lot of categories, at least close to leading in yards and touchdowns, and was an integral part to that national championship team. So Emeka Egbuka, wherever he lands, he's going to be a great pick in the draft. He really is. Then you go to the Chargers here, and I think there's a lot of different ways you could go. But I think if they don't target someone in free agency, I like them to go receiver as well. Luther Burden. I don't think that he has that superstar potential. I don't think him and Egbuka are close to the same wavelength of a player. But the Chargers just have a need for a receiver, and I think this is the guy. I think this is the guy you go with in this spot. Green Bay, a lot of different things you could do here. You see Josh Simmons sitting here, but I think they go defense. I think they go cornerback. Barron, really solid cornerback there. They probably want to improve their defensive depth, and this is going to be a good pick for them. Minnesota, then you have Kenneth Grant sitting there, another one of those Michigan guys that has just been really good on the interior, integral to the national championship team the previous year. I like this pick for Minnesota. Houston, it will be interesting what they want to do, where they want to go. I think they improved that O-line. Their O-line was just really kind of out of whack for C.J. Stroud and that unit towards the end. So I think this is a move that you just need to make if you're them, and I think they go with Simmons. The Rams, I think there's all types of things you could do if you're the Rams, but if you're looking at it, they are going to be losing Cooper Kupp, so it makes me think that maybe you'd go with a guy like Matthew Golden, but I think Matthew Golden is a little overrated, and I'm just looking at this team, and I feel like they're gonna find the right pick. I feel like they're just gonna find the right pick, and I think Campbell's just a guy that I could just see them drafting. Just a guy I could see them drafting, and a guy that I could really see working, so I'll have them taking him. Then you go to Baltimore. I like improving that interior offensive line. I think Booker's a good pick for them. They love the run game. They're strong with it. You have Derrick Henry there. I like them getting Booker here. Detroit, there's all types of things you can do, all kinds of things. But I've heard that they've wanted to improve I heard that they have wanted to completely improve the defense. And I think Jack Sawyer is the pick here. And it seems out of whack, kind of just where he is placed, where he's being mocked right now. But they want another edge. There's talks that they've been in the Myles Garrett trade talks. I think Jack Sawyer is going to be a great pro in the league, and I like them taking him here. Washington, there's all types of things you can do. I don't think they go receiver. I think they continue to build the O-line. Connerly Jr., another player that is falling because of what Ohio State did to them. But I think that if you want to be sustainable with Jaden Daniels and continue to keep it going, you're going to want to build the O-line around him. The team has become Jaden Daniels at this point, and it's accommodating to whatever you can do to make him better. Next to Buffalo, once again, a team that needs defense. They need to improve the secondary. They'll get the safety from South Carolina. Kansas City, this is a team that needs to get an interior O-lineman. Let's get Zabel here. North Dakota State, usually for that type of position, I would say it's a bit of a risk. And I think now that I'm actually looking at this again, I think that you could go Donovan Jackson here. I think you could go Donovan Jackson is probably one of the more underrated players in this draft. He had to play tackle for Ohio State during their entire run when Josh Simmons got hurt. So actually, if I'm Kansas City, I can't change the graphic right now. But if I'm Kansas City in this spot, I'm going to take Donovan Jackson here at 31. So let's just pretend that that's Donovan Jackson right there. And then you go to Philadelphia, last pick in this, and another team going for depth. Just continue at this point to build that defense and make it that much stronger, that much more of a hassle. And there you have it for the draft. Let me know what you think. This is the 4th edition of it. I think it's getting better and better every week. Let me know in the comments what you think.